It that alters sanity greets you. I've been spending time in Umamusume, not as interested in PvP as what the mathematics behind the races are. All formulae in this video will come from the Umamusume Race Mechanics document linked in the description. I'm not going to give a gentle introduction. If you want that, there's a video I'll link in the description. I will also upload the source code for these graphs. Don't just blindly trust what I show you, check my working to be sure. The following assumptions are made in the graphs. No slopes, no lanes, no weather, no corners, no rushed state, firm turf, normal mood, all aptitudes are A rank, no width variance to target speed, no skills, unless I explicitly mention something. I will walk through one simple example in the code so you get the hang of how this works. Umamusume Graph Plotter.py is the main entry point. It constructs a power plotter class and then calls the plot Excel numbers method on it. That then loops over this dictionary of strategies and colors, takes a list of power values, and with each of them calls the Excel function. This looks up appropriate strategy phase coefficients and applies the acceleration equation after simplifying using the assumptions stated earlier. Fair warning, the code has changed a bit since this screenshot was taken. That code produced this combined graph, which is too crowded. So I plotted each strategy separately. I will show two extremes on this video, and the rest you can look up in a link in the description. The end closer has a lower acceleration in the first 1/6 of the race. In that same phase, the runaway has a much higher acceleration. Note how much acceleration you get from power. When a 900 power Seiyan Sky activates her unique, her acceleration doubles. Next, the purple data points show how base speed is affected by the course distance. The other colors show the range of width variance. 24 times in a race, a horse changes their target speed, choosing a new random value within the range. So a 200 width horse will never run at the base speed, while a 1000 width horse will half the time run faster than the base speed. Unlike the speed stat, which only matters in the last 1/3 of the race, width affects target speed throughout the whole race, just not as dramatically as the speed stat when it kicks in. Here is a specific example for pace chasers running 1800 meters. Recently, the global server got the update to the last spurt speed. As you can see in this graph, guts doesn't affect the last spurt nearly as much as the speed stat. For comparison, the cyan crosses at the bottom show what happens if the horse does not have stamina to do a last spurt at all. Again, check the upload link in the description for the remaining graphs. This graph shows how the speed stat affects the late race target speed for all strategies at 2400 meters with and without a last spurt. It assumes that the horse had enough stamina to make the best possible last spurt. Observe that front runners and runaways have a worse last spurt than other strategies which conserve energy until the end. Yet even the runaway has a better last spurt than the other strategies if they fail to meet the stamina check. And to highlight the effect of skills, here's Rice Shower's unique. An increase of 0.35 is equivalent to a speed increase of 450 for 15 seconds at 3000 meters. Now, given a last spurt is changing the target speed, we can calculate how long it takes to go from the previous target to the new target. This is a classical mechanics question where acceleration is constant. Here are some answers at 2200 meters for a late surger with 300 guts, with and without an acceleration skill that magically kicks in as soon as late race starts. Obviously, a higher speed stat means you have a higher target to reach, so it takes longer to hit. Not so obvious. With this magical acceleration skill, you don't need that much power to quickly hit the last spurt target speed. As this calculation is not in the document, let me quickly show you where in the code to look to check my maths. And then we can apply s equals ut plus half at squared and take the integral under a velocity time graph to calculate how long it takes to finish the race, assuming the optimal last spurt was hit as soon as the late race begins. We can also simulate the magical acceleration skill that kicks in exactly when late race begins, or a magical speed skill that kicks in as soon as the last spurt target speed is reached. At 1200 speed, the magical acceleration skill is better at lower power, but realistically, the acceleration skill will probably kick in late, whereas the speed skill has much more leeway in when it can activate to be fully useful. Oh, and in case you think 0.2 seconds is not a big deal, at 25 meters per second, that's 2 horse lengths. So how do you get the best possible last spurt? It's by meeting the stamina check. Your horse knows she can do it, so she doesn't need to think. More stamina means more HP. HP is used throughout the race, but is used faster in the late race, depending on how much guts your horse has. Assuming the horse ran at exactly base speed for the first 2/3 of the race, we can calculate how much stamina is required to run the entire late race at the last spurt's best target speed. This is the function that does that calculation. It also accounts for recovery skills and debuffs. One gold skill recovers 5.5%. Each white stamina debuff skill knocks off 1%. Pace chasers are inefficient at converting stamina to HP, but have access to more gold recovery skills. Note that a runaway is also inefficient, but because her last spurt is much lower than a pace chaser's, she does not need as much stamina to meet the HP check. Here is the same information, but with the x-axis plotting the speed stat. At 3000 meters, if you are debuffed by 3% of your HP, you need 200 more stamina than the original threshold. This plot compares how much stamina you save by having more than 200 guts. The benefit of guts for meeting the HP check drops off fairly quickly. That's why the balance patch added more uses for guts. What happens if your horse does not meet the stamina check? Then she needs to delay when she starts her last spurt. Let's consider a simplified example. Your horse decides to set her target speed to the best last spurt after a delay. I ignore acceleration as documented, and unlike the race mechanics document, I go all the way to the goal line instead of only up to 60 meters before it. This turns out to be a linear algebra problem with a lot of known parameters. The late race gets divided into before and after the last spurt starts. 2 different target speeds, and thus 2 different rates of HP loss. If you fail the stamina check by at least 200 stamina, then the delay to the last spurt is almost the time it takes a horse meeting the stamina check to finish the race. If we plot how current speed changes as the horse enters late race, we see that a delay of 2 or 3 seconds to the last spurt will not make a difference. So long as your horse changes target speed before finishing acceleration, she hasn't lost out. How much slack in the stamina check does that mean? About 20 stamina for a pace chaser running a 2,400 meter race with 400 guts. Not a lot. And she needs to pass a wit check. So what actually happens if your horse fails the stamina check? She needs to think. Calculate different possible last spurt targets. Then pick the solution she thinks is best. Specifically, a 1,200 speed horse calculates a delayed last spurt and how long that takes to finish the race. Then she repeats the calculation pretending she's a 1,000 speed horse, and then as an 850 speed horse, then 700 speed, and 550 speed, and probably lower too. This is a plot of 5 chances affected by wits. If you're not familiar with these mechanics, just focus on the purple data points. A 1,000 wit horse has a 65% chance of picking the best last spurt that her body can actually manage. If that fails, the next best solution has a 65% of being chosen, and if that fails too, another 65% for the third best option, etc., etc. A 200 wit horse instead has a 25% chance to pick each solution she is presented with. So it's quite possible that a dumb horse will think she should run at 550 speed instead of 1,200 if her stamina is lacking. Now, the balance patch added dueling, which, when activated, increases acceleration and target speed. This is how much acceleration the horse gains while dueling. A modest 400 guts horse will accelerate as if her 600 power was actually 900 power, and this is the extra target speed from dueling. At 700 guts, that rivals the best speed uniques in the game, in magnitude alone. One concern I had was whether dueling would affect the stamina check. Running faster means faster HP loss. I made a thought experiment and then plotted that on this graph. Assume the horse meets the stamina check. Assume dueling begins as soon as the horse reaches the target speed of the best last spurt, that the horse was at base speed right before last spurt begins, and that dueling ends only when the remaining HP is at 5% of the maximum. From observing races, that last assumption does not hold. Still, this simulation shows that a magically long duel can be sustained with the stamina from meeting the stamina check. Real duels end much sooner than the race itself. If you look at the other videos on my channel, you'll know that I don't do guides. I don't tell you what to do. I present information and it's up to you to draw your conclusions. It that alters sanity thanks you for your time.